My next C-drama watch is Ski Into Love. I really wanted something sugary sweet. I want a nice romance. I want it cute. I want it fluffy. I've been inspired after watching The Best Thing, and I just love aesthetic and vibes and cuteness. Seemed like this show would be the right answer for that, and I decided to check it out, and I wanted to give you my first impressions in this podcast. I'm Monique. I am the host of Off by Purple Heart podcast, where I talk to you about K-dramas and C-dramas and BTS and so much more. Ski Into Love stars Esther. I have seen her in quite a few C-dramas over the time. I know she tends to be like a little bit of a controversial figure as far as actresses, but I actually was drawn into it because I thought she looked super cute, and a lot of the promo pics, the outfits were on point. I'm sorry, this is super shallow of me to say this, but one of the draw points to me for the show right off the bat was that her character and the clothes, they're hitting. I love her fashion sense in this show, and it actually makes a lot of the show fun for me. It's just they're very nice outfits. Now, that sounds like it's kind of being shady, but it's not. My first impressions of the show are actually pretty good. I wanted, as I said in my opening, a really fluffy show that is giving me just sweetheart vibes, just something that is very pretty aesthetically, that has good chemistry. And the best thing, which is a C-drama that I've talked about on this channel not too long ago, was giving me that. And I was kind of hoping that this was like another big one as far as rom-coms that were out right now. I was hoping it would give me that same flavor. And I'm 3 episodes in, so I can definitely give you a good first impressions. Yeah, it definitely has that vibe. The main synopsis, or a very brief synopsis about this show, is we have Esther Yu's character, the female lead. She is a webcomic and she is very famous. A controversy has sparked up. She's being accused of using AI to assist in her rendering of her characters in a very popular series that was doing very well prior to the rumors starting to float up. And this kind of takes her career from a super high to a super low. So she unceremoniously, by her manager, essentially gets dumped. She finds out her contract that she had recently signed for this company that would be the producing house for this comic gave her not the greatest of contracts. So she essentially was screwed out of all of her initial copyrights for the ownership of the webcomic that she created. So she basically ends up walking away with nothing, despite that it's her hard work being put into it. So she's kind of feeling depressed and needing to find new inspiration. It just so happens that a trending sport right now is snowboarding, and she has a particular snowboarder pro who she has a massive crush on, and she decides that, you know what, it actually might be a cool idea to make a webcomic or a comic based around snowboarding. Could be a romance, but just have it be focused on that sport and the triumph and all the hardship that comes with being a snowboarder. And part of getting that research for this comic, she decides to take some lessons with her best friend, who is very funny and hilarious. Here comes in the male lead. Now, with the male lead in particular, I feel a lot of conflicting things about him. One, I think the actor himself is very cute. I think he's adorable. There's something about his nose that I absolutely adore. There's just something about his face. I love his face, but the impression I was left with him was actually from a previous C-drama that I reviewed maybe 6 months or so ago, if not longer. And he was not the nicest character in that show. So I was coming in with, unfortunately, a little bit of a heavy bias towards the male lead, but he is serviceable here. It's not necessarily an enemies to lovers situation that we're dealing with, but the male lead is a pro snowboarder, and he ends up at the ski lounge that our female lead ends up visiting with her friend. And he's a pro at what he does. He was part of the national team, but a tragic incident happened which kind of cut short his professional career, but he's still very legendary and he's still very well respected. And technically he's the pro snowboarder that the female lead has a crush on, but she never really knew what he looked like. And she ends up running to male lead. they don't really hit it off that well. And all sorts of hijinks ensue, but he ends up being her snowboarding coach. And then we just start to see their relationship bubble and develop as he is teaching her the basic of snowboarding, which she is absolutely failing at, which is like one of my favorite things going into the show so far. The show is really cutesy, it's very fluffy, and I actually find Esther Yu really funny in it. I think her character is very bold in how she just presents herself and how she interacts with the male lead. You know, she's not afraid of like pushing back against him when he's being a little bit of a dick, you know, and she is very flirtatious, and it's in a fun way. Like, the character realizes that she's beautiful and she is confident, and she holds true to that. She has a lot of confidence in her skill set as a artist. She has confidence in herself as a person, but she also readily admits that she sucks at athleticism and that she's not good, and that she knew going in, as much as she wanted to use snowboarding as the crutch for her comic, that she was going to suck, and she sucks plenty. And it's fun for me to watch because it's not like, you know, you have an episode where the character is kind of awkwardish, but then all of a sudden, within the speed of light, they suddenly are fantastic. Like, she, for the past 3 episodes that I've watched, has been struggling and she's not really good. She has to have all this padding, and the male lead's getting so impatient with her, but he also is falling for her charm and quick wit. And she has a really great attitude despite everything that's happened to her with the copyright ownership of her material and her being ousted out of her company, her team being dismantled, things like that. I thought was great. So I enjoy those things. If there's any critique I have of the show so far, there's a couple of jokes that really bordered on the fat phobic line of things, and I'm not really cool with that. And I hope the show cools it with that type of stuff, because that's not really fun to watch. But outside of that, I actually think the show's humor is great. I love the female lead, the second female lead as well in the show. I think she's funny. It's a typical archetype in a lot of Chinese dramas, especially like the rom-coms, where you have the more dainty, girly, more shy archetype of the female lead, and then the second female lead is more brash, more in your face, has a little bit more attitude and spunk, but it's nothing that's offensive in that sense. Like, I just think the female friend is funny, and she has a really good energy with the female lead character. I think they spark really nicely together. They just have a cutesy friendship, and I buy into their friendship. And Esther Yu's character isn't really like the shy archetype like that is usually in C-dramas of this nature. I like that she does have her own wit and she has her own fire. And I think the whole way she presents herself is just very cute. And as I said, I love the male lead actor's face. I love his nose. It's a weird obsession, I know, just to be going on about someone's nose. But you know, some people just have a great nose, and it's just, I can't tell you. And he's just head over heels for her already, but he doesn't realize it. And I always, when I'm watching romances, I'm so more into the guy falls for the girl first. So he fell first and he fell harder is definitely the type of tropes that I adhere to. I'm not really here for the female lead like being all in and like super lovey-dovey and like head over heels in love with the male lead. Like I said, she had a crush on a pro boarder. She doesn't know that it was him, so there's a little bit of a mix-up there, but she gives him the gears. She's not fully there yet, and I'm just really enjoying myself. I'm having a good time. It's just aesthetic and vibes, which I really like when the chemistry is there, and I find the people appealing to look at. So that is my first impressions of Ski Into Love. I think it's adorable. What do you think? Do you have any romance dramas that you could recommend? If you're watching the YouTube format of this podcast, by all means put in the description or the comment section below. If you're watching or listening via Spotify, absolutely interact with that platform. I'd really appreciate it. And if you're listening via Apple Podcasts, I'd appreciate that as well. Feel free to interact with those platforms. There is another C-drama that I'm watching. I just haven't done a podcast episode dedicated solely to it, which is The Glory, which has been interesting twists and turns. I also have some K-dramas in the back burner Not so much with the BLs. I'm watching one BL and that's pretty much it because it's been kind of dry in that scope of things. But let me know your recommendations, or if there's anything that you think I should check out. I have such a long list. But you know, I'm a mood watcher, so if I'm feeling fluffy, I'm just gonna go straight fluffy. And so far, this is my fluffy fix. So let me know your thoughts. Till the next episode. What the hell is episode? Till the next episode. Bye.